Welcome everyone to Rise of the White Sun. Now, what are we doing here? We are playing this game because some of you may have seen that I put up a poll. I just want to, diversify the content on the channel a little bit, and the way I'm gonna do it is by having series that are essentially me exploring games that I'm interested in. And the format that this is going to take is I'm going to have the regular videos that you know and love, a set of them, and then at the end I think I'm going to have a vote on whether or not, to continue the campaign or not, so that we don't, stay too much on a game that nobody likes. And parallel to that, or afterwards, or before, maybe if before you've already seen it, but I will also release an edited video, a single video that's a little more polished than my usual content, so that maybe it can reach a bit of a different audience as well, laying out my thoughts and trying to sort of sum things up and sort of present the game in both of the in both the single video and in the playthrough. And yeah, the first game that won the poll was Rise of the White Sun, so here we are. Rise of the White Sun is a very interesting little game. It's it's kind of like a board game in terms of the setup, and yeah, it's kind of like a board game in terms of the setup, but it's basically, yes, a strategy game about the 1920s in China and the early Warlord period. So obviously right up my alley. And as you can see, we have a lot of scenarios. Now the game is not finished, it's in early access, but there's quite a lot of content in it already, and it's quite interesting. The gameplay has some interesting aspects to it, and obviously there's a lot of cool history behind it, so let's dive right in. So the scenarios, there's a lot of them. There's this Hunan, most of them are like most of them are scenarios that are focused on like a single province or a group of provinces, a region. So such as this one, the false start in Hunan, where you can either play as the sort of Julie-aligned warlord of Hunan, Zhao Hongti, or you can play as the Northern Expedition, Tang Shenzhi, the KMT, and the CCP. Then there's Little Model China, which is, I think, the one that we're going to play. Actually, the one that we're going to play, and we're going to, because it's like, I don't know what the difference between Little Model China and 1920 Sandbox is, but like basically this is, the scenario of the entire country, I do know that the 1920 Sandbox lasts longer. I think the number of factions is the same. I don't exactly know what the difference is again, but like, just to be like, maybe this scenario has a little more sort of development to it for one reason or another, so we're just gonna stick to the Little Model China. Anyways, you also have the Guangdong Revolutionary Base, which is about basically the struggle for power in Guangdong after the death of Sun Yat-sen. So obviously the main participants here are going to be the KMT, the CCP, Chen Jianming, the Yunanese warlords, and then you have all the various, other warlord factions. You have the Shanghai Uprising, obviously focused on Shanghai and city of Shanghai. Obviously here we have the CCP trying to take over the city for the National Revolution, sort of with the support of the General Workers' Union of Shanghai. And there's, the KMT forces approaching the city, who then obviously in real life betray the workers and start to massacre them. The Green Gang and the warlords. You have the Northern Expedition, so obviously, 1926, 1927. And you have Chiang Kai-shek ready to sort of launch his attack to reunite China under the KMT. You have the fight for Guangxi, sort of contained in Guangxi, the old Guangxi clique, the new Guangxi clique, and the sort of free-for-all warlord Shen Hongying. Then you have the Yunnan Guangxi War, Sichuan Scum, Wild Mongolia, where, hello, the Mad Baron, von Ungern-Sternberg. You can obviously play as him as well. And then you have the 1920 and the 1925 Sandbox, But yeah, we're gonna play as the little model China scenario. Now, when you choose a faction, okay, so basically, how do you, how is the game constructed? The game is constructed that you play as a faction, but really you play as a collection of characters. So in a way, it's kind of like a, Crusader Kings type of thing, where each single character has his own stats, his own abilities, and his own sort of characters that are not your main character, your faction leader or whatever, can do weird shit like defect, and you know, they have a sort of limited self autonomy, although you can give them orders. So the factions are divided in 3 categories. There's the minor warlords, who are obviously, you know, not so important. Most of them are pretty difficult. Maybe we're gonna play as a minor warlord one of these days. I wonder if you can the National Pacifying Army. Interesting how actually, damn, there was a National Pacification Army in the 1920s already. Yeah, because like that's what the Fengtian clique called itself in the 1927, 1928, you know, the time of the Northern Expedition. They called themselves the Anguojun, so the National Pacification Army. Whatever. Anyways, yeah, you have a bunch of minor warlords. I wonder if you can like attach yourself to another faction and then betray them or something. I don't know, whatever. Then you have the major warlords. So obviously you have your Zhili cliques, your Shanxi clique, you know, good old Yan Xishan, the Shanxi warlord, Switzerland of China. You have the Hunan clique, the Buddhist warlords sort of deal. You have the Fengtian clique in the northeast, the king of Manchuria, Zhang Zuolin. You have the old Guangxi clique, where we're going to be fighting quite a lot, because I want to play as the KMT. The old Guangxi clique, obviously, Lu Zhongting, basically, you know, the old cadre of, you know, sort of late Qing officers in the Guangxi region, the border troops. You have the Xinjiang clique. You have the Zhejiang warlords. That's Lu Yongxiang. Interestingly, he's the guy that kickstarts, along with Sun Chuanfang, he's the guy that kickstarts the second Zhili Fengtian War. It was one of the remnants of the Anfu clique, who basically later is going to be with the Fengtian clique. You have the Fujianese, Fujian governor Li Houji. You have the Yunnan warlords, obviously Tang Jia, the king of Yunnan. You have Guizhou, one of the poorest provinces of China, with its own little army. And you have the Northern Defense Army, who are the Chinese Republic's occupation forces in Mongolia from the brief period in which, you know, essentially the Chinese Republic tried to reclaim Outer Mongolia, and it failed epically, in part because of good old Mad Baron over here with the Asiatic Cavalry Division trying to reestablish the Mongol Empire and, you know, destroy every single Bolshevik, I guess. Anyways, that's the third category, the rebels and revolutionaries, including the Tibetans, a couple Russian factions, a couple Mongolian factions, more Tibetans, the Golok tribes. You have the spirit soldiers, who are sort of religious millenarian rebels trying to sort of have their own little peasant utopia or whatever. CCP and the Mongolian People's Party, obviously, pretty important, so the kind of red alliance. You have the Federalists under Chen Jiuming, obviously. And you have the KMT. Now, all of these 3 are obviously united under the sort of revolutionary front. And anyways, we're going to be playing as the KMT, in part just because, you know, the game is called Rise of the White Sun, and it's about 1920s China, so you might as well try to experience it as the KMT. Hopefully this is going to be an interesting choice. I do know a little bit about the game. This is just not a complete sort of dive in to the cold water from zero, because I was actually recording some videos already for Rise of the White Sun, I think yesterday, And actually, my OBS was not recording. Actually, let me check while it's loading that it's recording now. It appears to be, so we are indeed supposed to be recording. And yeah, my footage got lost anyway. So I know a little bit of what's going to happen. It's not a complete surprise for me. Anyway, you can stop and read the text if you want. I like the effect a little. But basically, we are the KMT, and we are with Chen Jiuming trying to reclaim Guangzhou from the hands of the old Guangxi clique. Now, I've ordered Chen Jiuming to oust them from Guangzhou. Our army is deporting from Chen's base in Fujian, in the border regions between Fujian and Guangdong. We'll quickly drive them out. The internal descents destroy their cohesion. They will collapse at the first fight. And anyways, yes, the Chen's armies are not our own. So basically, yeah, we have this like interesting dynamic within our faction that we're gonna show you, where we are the KMT and we're allied with Chen Jiuming, but Chen Jiuming, you know, he's not us. So if he takes over territory, that territory belongs to Chen Jiuming, doesn't belong to us. So we're going to need to have a sort of coexistence for a while somehow. And then we're going to need to take out Chen Jiuming. Anyway, foreign journalists praise his actions in Fujian too much. He now believes he has a national destiny. This is why I need your resolute action to prepare my comeback. I need you to help Chen Jiuming by bribing our enemy's armies and to rally the Guangzhou population to our cause. Once Guangzhou will be freed, I will come back and he won't dare to stop me. So he's talking to Liao Zhongkai, the second in command of the KMT. And yeah, we basically start with only Liao Zhongkai right now. And we're going to show you what we are up to. So this is China. Hello, welcome to China. August 20th. And our area of interest right now is going to be the south, but there is the whole map of China to look at in case you might be so inclined. As you can see, there's a ton of stuff going on everywhere. I'm not the biggest fan of the UI and how it works. It's a little clunky in many regards. Yeah, like this. But anyways, here's Tibet. Here's Mongolia if you want to see it. We're gonna check out all of these places some other time, I'm sure. Here's the Asiatic Cavalry Division. Don't think we want to look at Leeds personally. I don't think we want to look at Mongolia too much right now. I don't think we're going to be looking at Mongolia too much in general. Here we have Fengtian with its armored trains, and Zhang Zuolin commanding the powerful armies of the northeast. Bandits are sort of strewn about the entire countryside, and as you can see, the color coding of the provinces vaguely reflects who is in control of these areas. So you have the Zhili clique right here in the center. They also control Beijing, obviously. They control the capital. That's an extra large army. There's a Fengtian army, actually, near Beijing, and it's a massive one, actually. So who knows whether or not they're going to be fighting with the forces of the Zhili clique. And yeah, you come down here, there's the Zhejiang armies. Come down here, there's Fujian. There's the Fujian armies, and here is Chen Jiuming with his 4 armies down here poised to cross the border into Guangdong. Now here we have Guangdong, communist activists, goddammit. We're gonna see if the communists are anything that we need to be dealing with. Anyways, what I think we want to do first of all is take a look at this whole overall situation. So each single province has various different counties and localities, basically, that you can see here with their name. And they have their income per turn displayed as well. That's money that goes into characters' treasuries. And yeah, as you can see, some of these are like villages. Oh, actually, these guys are Hakkas over here on the borderlands. There's Hakkas here. This is where Hong Xiuchen is from, actually. The leader of the Taiping Rebellion. He was from the north of Guangdong province, from the Hakka villages. Anyways, basically, there's villages and there's towns. Towns are obviously pretty important. They all have like things that you can do with them. We're gonna check that out once we actually take over a place. And then there's the bigger cities that actually have like an inner map that you can go in, and you can put your character inside here and have them interact with the sort of city powers, you know, like the Mechanics Union, and here we're in Canton, Guangzhou. There's the Mechanics Union, there's the Police Precinct, here's Huangpu Island, there's the Guangdong Chamber of Commerce, and there's the concessions. So you can interact with the foreign powers as well. There's Hong Kong, and in Hong Kong, there's, you know, also a Mechanics Union and a bunch of various societies, the, you know, Siemens Union and all that. Anyways, so our first task is going to be to help out Chen Jiuming, not too much, but a little. Help out Chen Jiuming as much as possible, let's say. Destroy this Guangdong army. And then take over Guangdong, or not Guangdong army, but, you know, this is actually like, this is actually part of the Guangxi clique. Destroy the Guangxi clique forces and take over Guangdong province. Anyways, to do that, we have a character, Liao Zhongkai. He is currently in Guangdong. And he's just, when characters are in a province, they're just in the whole overall province. They don't really like travel from place to place. That is reserved for armies. Now, speaking of armies, one thing that I would not mind doing is recruiting these bandits. We unfortunately lose face, which is a resource that we're going to talk about in a little bit. But we have taken over a troop. Before that, we actually had no units on the map. So, you know, that's probably a pretty decent decisions to take care of them. Anyways, what I think we're going to do is we're going to try to bribe with money, because we don't have any more... we don't have any more face. You can either bribe with money or face, that being either money or honors. We're going to try to bribe these units. Now, one thing that I think this game really does a lot, like very, very well, is that it doesn't really give you all the information that you need. So it kind of keeps you guessing until you can, you know, until you can recruit like spies and stuff who can actually check out the stuff a little better. Like, it keeps you guessing as to like the effectiveness of some of the units, for instance, because there is a loyalty modifier that determines how effective units are, along with morale, quality, and the equipment. And the loyalty is hidden from enemy armies, but it's also hidden from friendly armies, actually. Now, currently our unit of pirates, obviously, is not going to be very effective in combat. We also have the number of enemy forces that are hidden, obviously, and their equipment, that is, to be discovered. And there is also sort of relations between sort of characters and factions and all that that you don't really get to see in like a ledger anywhere, which is, I think, really interesting. Anyways, now that we have completed our actions, which is by our chi, up here, this like little lightning bolt is our chi, our energy. We can only undertake a certain amount of actions each turn. Then you have supporters, money, and face, and we're gonna check out the resources and what they do a little bit later. We thankfully have not been attacked, or, you know, nothing has happened to us, which means that we can move to Shantou over here, which does not have any enemy forces in it, and we can take over the district. And this is how we take over territory. We have units move into empty localities, and we use an army. We use the chi of a character leading an army, basically, or commanding an army to do actions on that territory. And this is actually a pretty good catch overall. Actually, yeah, they are attacking. They are attacking the enemies pretty savagely, and they did inflict quite a lot of damage on them. So it would appear that this Guangdong army is not doing too well. Anyways, this is actually a pretty good catch to have Shantou, because it's got a massive amount of revenue, because it's got trade taxes, which we're going to try to increase, I think, next turn, maybe. Anyways, let's end the turn. Now I think we should be trying... Yeah, there we go. Actually, Qinjiaming has advanced, which is very good. And maybe instead of doing things with Shantou, we could take over Shanwei as well. Nope, never mind. Never mind, it appears that our troop has issues. Yeah, you need to pay your men for them to be able to actually do things. Maybe we should pay the men each week. Let's pay the men each week so that it's only 60 money. We're getting way more than enough money. I want these pirates to be able to go around and sort of capture lands a little bit more easily. Anyways, now that we have a territory, we can start to do things with said territory. I think we should begin with the district justice, because district justice is going to increase our influence. I don't exactly know what that does, but then we also have the training of magistrates. Or perhaps, instead, we should have the village deliberative assemblies. Now, we have a tree, basically. We have a lot of trees of policies that you can do to govern your territories. We already have village assemblies, which means that we can organize peasant militias. We could create new armies if I had a general character, but we do not have a general or officer character. We're gonna check out the actual characters later and how it works later. Anyways, we could create a merchant corps and have a merchant militia that can rise up and sort of protect the province in danger. But let's not do that. So that's the order and security policies right here. Basically how to... maybe the gun repair shop would be a good purchase, because that shit takes a while to build, and then you can develop arsenals and you get rifles, and that's a pretty important thing. Anyway, revive Confucian legacy, or tear down the Buddhist temples to decrease tradition. I don't exactly know what tradition does, which is, again, one of those other things. Like, there's a lot of modifiers that you don't exactly know what they do. Anyway, we'll increase my influence among gentry. We'll increase vitality and lower the corruption level. Do we have a corruption level that we can see? No, we do not. Anyways, economy and travel. We could promote opium cultivation, which is always an amazing thing. Anyway, I think we should be building a road because it's going to increase trade in common. This is a trade. This is a trade sector. Yeah, this is a trade sector, so let's build some roads. Anyways, we are done for the turn. Let us end it. There's more battles going on between our allies and our enemies. Alrighty then. Now my army should be more than willing to move. Yeah, they're at full morale. So let's move to Shanwei and take over. There we go. And there is an enemy army over here, the third army, but it appears that they don't really have a lot of morale, so they shouldn't be that much of a problem. When units, what I've seen is that the game doesn't really explain to you how exactly the combat works, but from what I've seen is that when units have low morale, it basically doesn't really matter what kind of other qualities they have, or anything like that. They're gonna lose, because basically as soon as a battle begins, they're gonna run away. That's what I've seen at the very least. Anyways, as you can see, we're getting like a shitload of money. And this is because Shantou is just an amazing province with that 330 income. It's also a smuggling route, which means that we can smuggle rifles. And we also have a lot of opium taxes over here, so we should definitely try to keep this province as sort of well orderly as possible. Anyways, we're not going to really have major military forces for a while, and the reason for that is that right now, as you can see, we only have one character, Liao Zhongkai. And if we look at the interactions with the character, sorry, not the interactions with the character, if we look at the character details, we see that his roles, his traits basically are diplomat, statesman, gentry / businessman, and theorist, which means that he can interact with characters diplomatically or intellectually. He can interact with provinces in terms of business and government, but he cannot really interact with armies a whole hell of a lot. If we inspect our army, we can do very few actions on our army to sort of interact with our army, yeah. Basically, the whole game is about characters managing the armies and the settlements, and the characters can perform actions on those armies and settlements that, you know, make them do things. And, for instance, if we wanted to turn these pirates into regular troops, we cannot, because we are not an officer, a generalissimo, or a warlord. So I think one of our main priorities is going to be to recruit more characters as early as possible. And to do that, we're going to need face, because to recruit characters, you need face. And oh hi, it's Wang Jingwei. Anyway, Wang Jingwei is not going to be our first choice because he does not have officer. However, Hu Hanmin does have officer, so he can lead troops, and he can create new armies. So what I think we're going to do is we're going to get our face up. We're going to build up Shantou, we're going to get our face up, and we're going to recruit Hu Hanmin, and we're going to recruit our own army in Shantou. Alright. And obviously, you have reports on your provinces. The economy of this district is recovering and developing fast. Its wise ruler gains 10 face. Amazing. Love it. With only 1 morale, I think perhaps we could just go in. I think we could attack and beat these guys. Although, what if we recruited the full army? Because I see that right now, the full army, these guys are actually bandits. They're not real. These guys are a Guangxi clique army, but actually they are bandits. So let's try to recruit them. I actually lost face because of that. That's a bit of a problem. But now we're in Guangzhou. I think next turn we can just take over Guangzhou with this army. Yeah, anyways, in the meantime, let's do standardizing weights and measures. And let's do the phone and telegraph. There we go. And all of these measures are not instant, actually. They're not instant, which is kind of one thing that I enjoy. It's like it takes a while for policies to get implemented, you know, for the telegraphs to actually be built, for the roads to actually be built. And those sorts of things, and you can actually make it faster for that. Actually, did I not build a road? I thought I built a road. I guess I'm teaching him modern agriculture instead. It must have misclicked. Anyway, and you can actually improve the speed at which the stuff happens by supervising the district with your governor characters. Anyway, next week. Are my troops gonna get attacked? No, I mean, then we're just gonna claim Guangzhou. Well, that was easy. All right. Are these guys still low on morale? No, they are not. So we're gonna bribe them with money. So that hopefully they don't attack us. And then next turn, we are gonna move and attack them and hopefully evict them somewhere so that we're gonna have our own little sort of base in the south of Guangzhou province. As you can see, as we are taking over the territory, it's turning blue because, you know, the counties within the province are changing hands. And now, there's going to be things happening on the sort of world map as well, although I don't know what that 2 is. I think it's like reports. Is it reports? I don't know. Anyways, whatever. We're out of time. We're out of time for today with the capture of Guangzhou in a frankly rather easy move that I did not expect. We just recruited the garrison to our side. This is so funny. Also, it's a pretty good army, to be honest. It's 5,000 men. Fully equipped with rifles, fully moraled up, good quality. It's like a middle quality unit. Yeah, I mean, this is a pretty decent army. I like it. Anyways, all of that aside, with the capture of Guangzhou, as soon as we click the next turn button, we should have the return of the government to Guangdong, Guangdong. And it's the establishment of the Guangzhou government with Sun Yat-sen at the lead. Hopefully, we're gonna see. And yeah, we're gonna be bamboozling the hell out of Chen Jiuming. He's got 3 armies over here. Does he have the 4 from? Has he lost one of his armies already? Well, I mean, okay, all right. Anyways, so we are completing our objectives slowly but surely. So far, so good. I want to thank you all for watching. Hope you've enjoyed, and I'll see you soon.